Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. My name's Phil. We are live every Monday at 7:30 for 30 minutes. You have got the next 29 minutes and 57 seconds to get as many comments as you want in about Leicester City. We lost 4-2 at Arsenal. We drew 2-2 with Brentford. We've got Southampton coming up on Saturday. Is it getting a bit sticky for Brendan Rodgers? Jamie Vardy to Manchester United, Fofana to Chelsea. Who else to where else? Not hearing much of anybody coming in. We want your views. We want your comments. Going to get as many on screen as we can in the next 29 minutes and 23 seconds. So join us for tonight's Fanzone show.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everard's, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie & Co. Estate Agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, welcome to the show. If you're watching live, get your views and get your comments. If you're watching this on playback, enjoy the show. Enjoy what everybody wants to talk about. We don't really filter the comments. We want to get as many on there as long as there's no Rudy swear words or anything too aggressive. We'll put it on screen and we'll react to it. That's what we want. Don't forget, you can follow us at Leicester Fan TV on Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Let me shut up and let's get the first comment on the screen. Matty Bond, good evening to you. Let's get a few hellos in. Karen, hope you're well. Leo, hope you're well. C96, I'm good to be on today. Hi, how are you? We'll get as many on screen as possible. I want to try and get as many of your comments on. So let me know what you think. Jamie Vardy to Man United. Do you want to start with that one? That one's come a bit of a bolt out the blue. Dale, good evening. Ian, good evening. LCFC Gray says, if we sell Fofana, who do we get in? We can't defend when he plays. Matty Bond says, we can't afford to buy anyone, so we definitely can't afford to sack Brendan Rodgers. 2 games in. I mean, this is probably what is going on. This is the carrying on from last season, isn't it? There was debates over the last probably 18 months about, are you Brendan in, are you Brendan out? And I think generally it's been about a 65 to 35 split. 65 want Brendan in, 35. I mean, it ebbs and flows. We have 4 or 5 bad games and it goes all over the place. Tom, good evening. Ethan says Vardy doesn't want to go Man United. Ethan, listen, I wouldn't blame Jamie Vardy if he did go to Man United. I'd actually say he's earned a big move like that. I know Man United are in a mess. I'm not sure I'd recommend it to Jamie Vardy to go to Man United at the moment. But would you? I just couldn't begrudge. I don't want him to go, but I wouldn't begrudge it if it happened. Vardy says, Vardy isn't going to Man United, says Nick Moore. Fofana's not going to Chelsea either. Brendan Rodgers refresh, you're having a laugh, says Ball Grey. Nothing happening there. Andy says different excuse every week, but never blames himself. Yeah, it could be fatigue. Something is not right with Brendan Rodgers, Andy, and I want everybody's views on this. Something's not right between Brendan Rodgers and the club and transfers and what's going on. There's little rumours of arguments, of falling outs. Just something not quite. Good evening, Imran. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Scott says Ten Hag will be available soon. What a disastrous start he's had. But look, we're only on 1 point. I don't even want to show you the table. Nobody wants to look at the table because we all know who's higher than us after yesterday's win against Forest. Frax, get in touch with me. We're always looking for new people to help us with the content. DM me or email us at contact@Leicester Fan TV. Jason says can't afford to sack Rodgers. Who is out there to take over? They're great questions, Jason. I'm not even going to start the Brendan in, Brendan out thing. Matt says, feels sorry for Rodgers, think the club have hung him out to dry. There's something, Matt. These things, there is something there, isn't it? Rodgers, on the first game, didn't want to make any subs. And he sort of come out in the press and said, apart from the fatigue thing, he sort of came out and said, well, I got my best 11 on there. I didn't think I could improve it. So I just let it carry on. He's very clearly as well said that we haven't got any money to buy players until we sell players. And he needs to reduce the overhead on the wage bill, which he sort of started to do with Casper going, with Hamza going. So there's just movements. But to me, I'm afraid I think we're going to have to sell a big player to get the ball rolling. If you're offered 85, 80, 90 million for Fofana and it could buy you 2 or 3 players, would you do it? That's what I want to know from you. Would you do it? Would you say, after seeing what we saw on Saturday, 90 million in the bank for Fofana, go and buy 2 or 3 quality players? We need 2 or 3 players, don't we? I don't know. Totally baffled, says Nigel. Can't believe what's happening with Leicester City. Man United are in an even bigger mess than us. Why would he go? Well, he would go, perhaps, Nick, because it's Manchester United. Probably one of the top 4 clubs, brand-wise, in the whole of the world. And I think if you ask most players, do you fancy, especially for Vardy, it's the guy from non-league, the guy who's won the Premier League, he's won the FA Cup, he's done everything he can at Leicester City. Would you really begrudge him the chance to wear the United shirt and play at Old Trafford? I truly hope he stays at Leicester, but to be fair, I wouldn't begrudge him that. I think Jamie Vardy has earned whatever he wants in life. Dale says, give Pratt a chance and stick his unloyal countryman on the bench. Yuri, now listen, Yuri Tielemans on Saturday. I listened to a little bit of Radio 5 after the match, and one of the commentators said that the question was, what did you think to Yuri Tielemans? And they said, to be fair, we barely mentioned his name at the game. Didn't do anything. Didn't even know he was on the pitch. Mark, Vardy won't go anywhere. Mark, do you think Fofana won't go anywhere either? It's an interesting one. Ball saying Brendan must go. Tom, if we lose to Southampton on Saturday, we'll have 1 point from 3 games. That would be a very poor start to the season with home games versus Brentford and Southampton. Tom, please. How can we be 3 games in, Tom, and I'm about to say to you and everybody else, it's a must-win game on Saturday? It is though, isn't it? If we're here, you, me, next Monday night, and we haven't got 4 points, we've only got 2. It's tough. If we've only got 1 point next Monday, it's very tough. It's got to beat Southampton, but we have to really beat Brentford. I know they went and beat Man United 4-0. Andrew saying the big refresh has turned into the big sell-off. Andrew, is Fofana going to go? Is Vardy going to go? Nick says Rodgers is so full of pony, it's unreal. Brian, a few more games, I think Rodgers will be gone. Listen, a lot of people here feel sort of saying they think Rodgers is maybe not got long at Leicester. Is there anybody watching who thinks, no, listen, Rodgers is the man, he can sort this out? Is it Rodgers? Is it the club? Rodgers has clearly come out and said he wants money to spend, and he's been told he can't have it. And he said he'll back the club. He'll work around that. Ross says, I want to look at the table because Man United are bottom low. Yeah, Ross, fair enough, but we're not up there. And the team in red up the Trent end are doing better than us. Fofana going nowhere, says Reedy, and we are panicking over too much in this. I must be honest with you, me and Reedy, I've had a bet. I've had a tenner with Reedy because I actually think Fofana is going to go. Don't want him to go. I hope you understand that when I say I think he's going to go. I don't want Fofana to go. I just think he is going to go. So I've covered my bet off by saying if he goes, Reedy's going to give me a tenner. So at least I'm 10 quid up. Leicester City are 85 million up. We go and buy 2 or 3 players. Players don't stick around forever. Fofana, we paid 30, 35 million for him. He's played 50, 51, 52 games for us now. If they will pay a world record fee for somebody that young, let's move on. Let's buy some players because at the moment, I think we need some players. Imran says, I think the whole squad is lacking morale, motivation and direction. We don't know who is leaving. We don't know if we're going to sign anyone. It's a bit of a mess, Imran. It is. The transfer window being open until September the 1st because of the World Cup is all a bit of a pickle as well. But listen, everybody else knows about it. And I'm still going to sit here and say we haven't signed anybody because I've got to be fair. And I'm going to be honest, because I come on here every week and chat with you lot. So you can go back on the YouTube channel at Leicester Fan TV. Please do subscribe. But you can go back on and you can see what I come out with and what I say. So you can hold me to it. I said before the season, on camera, on video, for me, Danny Ward and Iverson are not not the keepers for us. And I said I hope one of them is, but I don't see it because neither of them have got any Premier League experience. Danny Ward, blooper, second game in. I'm not going to pin the defeat on him, but an A-grade keeper. You know, I watched a bit of the Forest game, I hate to say, but Dean Henderson from Man United, did we miss out not going for Dean Henderson? Did we miss out not going for Nick Pope? It is a gamble playing Danny Ward. You've got to admit it. It's a gamble because he hasn't got any Premier League experience. What do you think? And that's why when Imran's comments is it's all a bit of a mess. I'm with you, Imran. I feel it is all a bit of a mess. Ethan saying, wow, people on for Rudkin to go. Well, we've got this new guy coming in, head of recruitment from Southampton, can't start till after the transfer windows. And we've got Guy, can't get a visa, who's the set piece specialist. Again, we did let a goal in from a set piece on Saturday. We still haven't really sorted it out. Brendan won't take ownership, says Mark. Silly comments, lost backing, losing players. The press are waiting for a knife. It does. Something isn't right. Did you watch Gary Lineker's comments on Match of the Day on Saturday night? He can't put his finger on it. He's pretty much summed it up perfectly, if you ask me. Scott says here, the way Leicester fans talk, the team is that bad, we should just fold or something. Embarrassing sport. Scott, it's not. We've got a good team. We've got one of the best teams we've perhaps ever had. The fans' expectations, Scott, are just raised. They're just raised. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We've finished. Listen, we've won the Premier League. We've been into the Champions League. We've been in Europe. We finished fifth. We finished fifth. We finished eighth. We've got expectations up here, some of us now, Scott. You know, we've spent a lot of money on the squad over the last few years. I think it's okay to want to be top 8, top 5. That's what Convici wanted. So I think what you're feeling now is that fans are being honest and saying, we haven't made one signing. That is strange. That isn't right. Ross says here, my opinion, Ward isn't good enough to be number 1. He's only been given number 1 because we've had no choice. I think it's a strange one that we've actually given him the number 1 shirt, Ross. I know why. And fair play. You give Ward number 1 shirt, it says, we're backing you. You are the number 1, mate. But if he makes a boo-boo against Southampton, Ross, on Saturday and maybe costs us the game, which I hope to goodness he doesn't. I don't want that to happen. But I'm just like, if he does, what do we say next Monday night? LCFC Gray says, but we can't defend. Who would you sign? I'd say LCFC Gray, feel free to pay me £5 or £10 million a year and I'll be Leicester City scout, but I'm not. So I don't know, but somebody is paid to do that all the time. Tom saying poor transfer windows before this one cost us. And also not having a head of recruitment. Yeah, he's coming though, Tom, but not till after this season. Nick says I'd sell Wes more than 80 because it's set Ati and have to sell on clause. And Nick, that's interesting. I don't know how much to sell on clause. What would we owe them? That's a good one. Let me know if you would. Ash says be heartbroken if Bard's left. Yeah, wouldn't we all? I hate to see him playing for anybody else, but I actually wouldn't begrudge it him. Jono's going to come on in a minute. Jono's a guest today, so we're going to get his views. Auntie Karen, good evening, says, I'm still very nervous for this season. I'm nervous for this season. I said it a few weeks ago. I am nervous about this season. Sell a top player, get Ormondroyd and Phil G back in, worked out before. Harking back. Dave says, why doesn't Pratt get a start? Well, Dave, would you drop Yuri and bring Dennis Pratt in? I mean, again, there's something else. I don't want to sound like I'm just moaning all the time, but we played one way in pre-season, and then Brendan's come out and said, well, we played that way in pre-season, but it was all based upon having Ricardo Pereira and Harvey Barnes there. Now they're not there. We can't play that way. So it's sort of like, really, we've picked a style based on 2 players? Well, we've got to be a bit more flexible. Chris saying we haven't had any new players for 2 years, really. Only Daka last summer signings gets in the squad and he doesn't start. Recruitment being poor for the last couple of years. Chris, I have to agree. Vestergaard, Bertrand, Sumari, just not worked out. And Daka, jury out. Jono, listen, are you ready to come in? Let's get some of Jono's views. Here he is. Jono, good evening. How are you?
Not bad yourself?
Jono, I'm okay. I am like a lot of people are putting here. I am nervous. I'm worried. I feel like there's a story going on that we're not quite sure of. There's 3 or 4 of our top players, even Vardy being linked with with going away. Are you positive? What's your take on the season at the moment?
It's all all over the place, isn't it? We've not made a signing. We've threw away an easy win. We couldn't press against Arsenal. It was always a tough game against Arsenal, but we didn't, conceded a set piece. It was always our Achilles heel at the moment. We just didn't press. Brendan's been having arguments. It's just all confusing. Like, we were one of the best run clubs 2 years ago to being one of the not worst run clubs, but most inconsistent clubs. Like, we just can't, keep our players, and we can't keep players happy. It's weird, and I just don't know what's happened.
Yeah, it is strange. I'm trying to get as many comments on as possible. Ian says, we cannot be unchanged again after those two performances. This just feels like last season all over again. I see the set pieces have not improved. Your take on Youri Tielemans, Jono?
I want him for Fana gone.
Yeah, well, you want Fofana gone.
I want Fofana and Youri Tielemans to go. I want them both gone.
Why? We probably all understand the Youri one, because A, he's not playing well, and B, his contract's going, so it makes financial sense to sell Youri. If you can get 20 million for Youri, you'd take it, wouldn't you?
I'll take 80 for Fofana and 25 for Youri.
What's your take on Fofana then?
Don't like him. He's a child. Don't like him. If you just signed a deal 3 months ago, 4 or 5 months, whatever it was, and you're changing your Twitter profile to fit whoever you want to join and being a child, then go. I don't want him. I'd rather play a youth player. If you are, get 80 million pounds for him and play a player who wants to be here. Youri Tielemans doesn't want to be here and he's playing around rubbish. Fofana, will do the same thing. Or, if you don't want to play for the club, then go.
What did you make to Fofana coming over to the Leicester fans at the end of the game? Pretty much at the time when he came over, he was by himself. Was that a farewell?
Could be. I think maybe Brendan's given him a gentleman's agreement behind closed doors, maybe saying, look, like, you obviously want to go, then go. But I want, like, if he's going to cause this much hassle, do we want another Mahrez where we pretty much don't sell him, even though he wants to go and he doesn't play or anything like that? Just go, let him go. We can sell him in the next week and buy someone else in. Like, that's proven Premier League, like, not obviously as good as Fofana, but it's good standards. But that's my opinion. I just don't want Youri Fofana at the club anymore.
Go on.
If they're going to act like children, if you want to sign a contract for Leicester because you just won the Community Shield, you've had a decent season, you come back from an injury, and then all of a sudden a big club sniffs around you, threw toys at the pram and said, I want to go, then I'm sorry, I don't want you at the club. I don't want you at the club.
Well, get your comments in if you're watching. Jono's been very blunt there and said he wants Fofana gone. He thinks he's being childish with his behaviour and thinks he should go. I want him to stay, but I actually think if you were to get 90 million, I think we need investment. And if we've got to sell Jono, 85, 90 million quid gets you 3 players.
Well, we bought Tielemans for, how much was it? Like 30, 40 million?
Yeah, I think about 40 million euros.
Yeah, and we bought one for 30. If we sell them both for, 40 million pounds more, we can get someone better, or if someone who wants to play for the club will play better than someone who's better than them technically, but doesn't want to play for the club. But I don't know. I just lost all respect for him.
I've come out tonight and 2 weeks ago and said I don't think Danny Ward is of the quality for keeper. I want to be proven wrong. What's your take? He did make a fumble that cost a goal on Saturday. Am I being too harsh?
Yeah, like I'm not saying harsh. I just think all goalkeepers make a mistake, and don't forget, he must be quite nervous because he's taken on a big, Kasper Schmeichel isn't a massive position to take. And if you just, Brian was going, I need to make an impression. And, he's made against Brentford, he made a few good saves. He didn't do anything wrong against Brentford. And yes, he made a mistake against Arsenal, but, I think it's too early to say he's rubbish. But maybe bringing in a main goalkeeper who comes in another one one will be the solution. But for now, I think Ward is good enough for the foreseeable short-term future.
So you are backing Ward there, which is interesting.
For the moment, yes.
Wayne says here the fans are always honest. The club should come out and be honest with the fan. What the heck is going on? Might be a business to them, but hard-earning fans, it's passion and family. We care. Ashley Little says, sell Fofana and instantly get someone in as good. Sorry, but that's a crazy statement. He's a brilliant player and like for like will cost us money where we don't have Jono.
I mean, I think it's a phenomenal player. I think he could be one of the best defenders in the world in European football in the next few years. But I'd rather take someone who's loyal and someone who, he did the same at his last club. He forced his way out. He forced his way to come to Leicester. He's going to do the same here. What happens if he's at Chelsea and he forces his way out, at Chelsea to go to Barcelona or PSG? If this is his personality, and what happens if you buy another player who's good at Fofana? Will he get a tantrum because he's not getting, he might not play first team football? I just think it's all a bit out there.
It is. Let's have a few more comments. And Adrian says, what has gone wrong with our club to be such a mess financially? I don't think the club would reinvest in signings if we sold Fofana. It's a strange one. I heard Birchie on the radio before the match against Arsenal when he was asked about Fofana, and he said, look, he obviously wants to keep the player, but selling Fofana would effectively pay for Seagrave, which is there for the next, and it is Wordsworth, it's there for the next 50, 60 years. So, one player pays for massive infrastructure, but I don't think we're in that sort of particular mess. Chris says, I think City might go to the World Cup break and then make a decision on Brendan. They would have 6 weeks to change and a new transfer window just after the restart to make signings. That's interesting. Chris Townsend says, never mind missing out on Pope and Henderson. They even lose out on Leno to Fulham. Unreal one was loan one was 8 million. They're talking about Danny. I think there was keepers out there to be had, and we knew Casper wanted to go. Listen, I'm going to add Ross in because he wants to have a go at you. No offence, Jono, but Ross says, "Come on then, Ross."
Right. Okay. Yes or no? Has Fofana come out and said he wants to leave? Yes or no? No. Yes or no?
Yes, he has.
No.
Yes.
How?
I'd argue yes, because you change your Twitter profile to saying not Leicester City. You change your emojis to Arsenal.
Okay.
Colours,
right. I took a picture of me in my Vodafone top. Does it mean I'm going to leave Leicester because it's a red top? It doesn't matter about Twitter and Instagram. It's about social media. Is there to cause a scene and get attention and stuff. That guy that always posts stuff about Leicester all the time. He's doing it for attention to get us riled up and stuff. End of the day, until he says I want to leave Leicester, which it has happened in the past, where players have wanted to leave Leicester or they've thrown the toys out the fan. They've done a Tevez and not play for 6 months. They've done a Payet and forced his way back to Marseille. You've done where Mahrez did that thing at Leicester and he came back and obviously then he left months later. Until he says he wants to leave, he's not going anywhere.
Okay, Ross, listen, just before you carry on, I'm going to put that out for everybody watching, every single person who's watching. Do you think Wes actually wants to go? This isn't will he go, won't he go? Ross has said, do you think Wes wants to go? So I actually think he does want to go. I think he's making, if he wanted to stay, you just come out and say, well, sorry, guys, I've signed a 5-year contract. I'm going nowhere. Not this summer, but he's not said that. So I think he does want to go. Jono?
I think 1,000,000% wants to leave Leicester.
And then people put in the comments, Ross, why do you think he doesn't want to go?
Because, end of the day, he signed a 5-year deal. Okay, that's great. But if he really, really wanted to go, why? You were saying about Twitter and all that stuff. So he posted up a few days ago an Instagram story of him in his Leicester shirt with going on the back of Fofana. If he really wanted to go, why would he do that? And so he's not been unprofessional on the pitch. He's been playing really well. He's not played awful. End of the day, if he wants to go, he will come out and say. The part of players have come out in the past and said they want to leave and they've gone. Casper, obviously, he's ended up going.
Well, he can't. The thing is, like Andrew says here, Fofana has not made a transfer request.
Exactly.
He can't really make a transfer request because I believe if you put a transfer request in it affects your bargaining powers with these negotiations. You just can't.
But the thing is that you look at Chelsea as well. After Sunday's game, I think they'd rather stick with Koulibaly. Have you seen his goal? Like, you know, look, you look at Chelsea's defenders. So who they got? They got Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and they've got that Cucurella, whatever you want to call him. So exactly, that Reedus' comments just said, I don't usually agree with Reedy on many things, but that one I agree with.
I don't want to say too much, Ross, but Reedy and I think there was about one other person. Virtually everybody else is saying, like Neil says, Fofana wants to go. I agree with that.
Here's an interesting thing: we play Chelsea. What in two? Is it a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Yes, 2 weeks time.
Why do we get the feeling that if Fofana, well, he's not going to go, and he scores the winner against Chelsea, we'll put price up even more. Because at the end of the day, we hold the cards. Years ago, he would have gone within 3 days. You think about it. You know that time with Maguire, that went on for about 6 weeks, and it finally happened.
But that's why it is going on, Ross, in my opinion, because Leicester are holding out for the big bucks.
Exactly, that's what we do. We're not being bullied. We're not being bullied. That's the thing.
There's a difference between being bullied and a difference between making the right movement for the club. If we sold you if you went to me, would you sell you Fofana for 80 million? Why don't you ask that, Phil, to the chat? Would you sell Fofana for 80 million pounds? And I'll go, yeah, I would.
If Maguire is worth 80, Fofana is worth a lot more than 80 million pounds. 100%. And end of the day, like, Fofana's got to look at it this way. Players that have actually gone to Chelsea from Leicester, fair enough, N'Golo Conte's been probably their best one. Danny Drinkwater, he's now at Reading. I think he is at Reading.
Ross,
like
listen, Ross, I'll put this in the and again, just stick around, Ross and Jono. I'm going to try and get some people. Stick around, you two. I put it in there. Ross and Jono want to know. So, would you? The first question we did was, do you think Wes wants to go? And I would say about 95% of fans commented there just said yes, they think he wants to go. I agree. I think he does want to go. I don't want him to go, but the question that Jono wanted me to ask you guys, and that's why we want your comments on it, is: would you sell Wes for £85 million? Now, listen, I think it's not. Do you want to? Is that the right thing at the moment for the club to sell him? It's a world record for a defender, and then we can reinvest and we go again, which is basically the Leicester City model. So that's the comments. That's what I want to know from you. Would you sell him? Chris says yes, but I want 90 million. If the price is 80 million, he will go. Can't see anyone paying 85 million, says Boohoo, for a player who has had such a bad injury. Curtis, big comment in there. He's basically saying Leicester ain't going to sell him for £85 million. Adam's saying let him go. Want players that want to play for the club. John saying 85 is not enough. 85 plus add-ons. And yes, says Curtis. Matty saying he is still a bit unproven. He's played 51 games, Matty, in the Premier League. I think everybody's saying he's going to be the next biggest thing. Whether he will be, this is the other thing that I did say, and I'll bring Jono in on this. I was having a chat, and I said, if Wes was to go and break his leg or have a really bad season, he might actually be worth half that in a year's time. So, Jono, would you sell him for 85 million? I think we know the answer.
Yes.
Yeah. Go on then, Ross. I guess you wouldn't.
No. I honestly would. I don't think we should. If he, like I said, I'm looking at all these comments. How is he spoiled? A spoiled brat. If he really was a spoiled brat, he would refuse to come to training and he would refuse to play. So I don't understand that. I don't understand that logic.
But then, if he did that, then it might ruin his transfer.
But the thing is, though, it didn't ruin Mahrez's chances of going to Manchester City because he ended up going for 60 million 6 months later.
Let me ask you this, though. If, I know he hasn't said it directly in his own writing, I don't want to go or I want to go. But if he didn't want to stir rubbish about him wanting to go, why would he then go to social media and then make hints that he does want to go?
Yeah, but we all do stupid things on social media. I mean, people get done for tweets 10 years ago for something like Chowdhury did when he was like a kid.
I must admit, Ross, I have seen some of your late night live videos in a nightclub. You certainly do some strange.
Yeah, exactly, I do stupid. We all do stupid things on social media. And the day, did one time Fofana was in an Arsenal shirt on Instagram, and no one kicked off about that, did there? So that's my
But Ross-
opinion. I'm going to sit off
But
for a
Ross,
sec anyway.
but Neil says here, no player is bigger than the club or team. If he wants out, we need to get right.
I agree.
But Ross, I want you to put your business hat on, Ross. Could it actually make sense for Leicester City to cash in and buy 2 or 3 players? We need to refresh that squad, don't we?
But the thing is, though, here's the question: are we going to buy that? I think that's one of the reasons why we're calling. Here's the thing:
if we don't, fans would be
exactly
in uproar. But
exactly, that's the thing. I'm holding out. I've got to sit down for a minute, serious. You know, we're not. We're end of the day. There's no links of us, but I mean, we brought in the keeper, Smithers, coming in. End of the day, if we got players coming in, like once we sell him, boom, we're gonna sign him. Like we are signing him, then yeah. But end of the day, I know what will happen. We'll sell him, and what will happen? It'll be transfer deadline day. We'll sell him, and the next minute, we won't be have time to buy anybody. That's going to be the issue.
Yeah, I think if it happens, this is Ross. I'm going to let you go because your signal's going. Thanks so much for joining us, Ross. Thank you. His signal's gone. Jono, I actually think if Wes goes, it will be before that Chelsea game. Whether he'll play for them against us, I think I would doubt. But it's a strange one. Neil saying maybe it'll end up with 1 or 2 Chelsea players coming our way. Hudson-Odoi, the most likely. What would you think of Hudson-Odoi if he was to come? He has been linked.
I think he's come out and said to Chelsea that he doesn't want to go to Leicester. I think he would like to stay at Chelsea. And again, if a player doesn't want to come to Leicester, why would you want him to come? Because, like, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but why would you have a player that's not as good as other current players and doesn't want to play for Leicester? That's a recipe for disaster. I think we need to refresh in the team. And I'm in 2 hands now because we're thinking, I don't want to get rid of Fofana and get the money, but do I have enough time to bring in players who actually want to improve the team and not like Vestergaard was a panic buy when he got injured last season. Look how that's turned out.
Terry's saying, Ross, you're a poor judgment of character. I hate to say it, Terry, but I probably agree with you. I think Ross isn't not realising that
Fofana wants to go.
Yeah, I'm afraid I think he does. We've just seen, if he didn't want to go, he's made all the wrong noises. That's the trouble.
Yeah, you don't change your banner to red and white, and you don't get rid of Leicester City player on your bio.
Yeah. Dorco says he's talking tactics. He says big clubs know how to beat Leicester before they play us. Just say they're interested in our top players, which is an interesting one. Nick saying we want 11 men on the pitch that are committed, not 11 prima donnas. I think enough fans do realise that Leicester is, and again, the Birch said it on Saturday. I think his exact words were, "It's a bit of a stepping stone."
We are
club. And it always has been, and that's been the model. You buy young players. We take a bit of a punt on some of them because lots of teams looked at Wes and didn't go there, and we put in some relatively big money for Wes, and we went, yeah, come on then, come and play at Leicester. He's proved he is class. It makes sense that he goes. We'll want to get another season from him, but that's how Leicester works, isn't it, Ross? Jono, sorry.
I just think we're so close to breaking in. We were, well, I'll say last season before that, but we were so close to breaking into the top 6. But we haven't recruited properly in the last 2 seasons. Someone said it on the Leicester fan chat today. We didn't recruit properly, and what's happened is that since we didn't sign well last season, we've not improved. We've got a really good player, and if we lose 2 or 3 this season, we're going to be so weak and it'll be hard to build back up. We're so close to going down, but we're also very close to going back up. Like after this transfer window, once everything's set in stone, once it's past September into September, we know who's staying, who's going. We know who stays and who goes. So then we can maybe go right until January or after the World Cup. We can go. This is our plan. Until then, it's all up in the air.
Yeah, indeed, Jono. Listen, thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's been great to get your views in. Great to get Ross's views in as well, because you showed 2 sides of the fan base there, and I think I'm a little bit in the middle, but I think I've seen it, been there. Got the T-shirt with Leicester. You just sort of know that it is what's going to happen. So thanks, Jono, for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
See you later.
Thanks, Jono. Jono's off. Let's get some last comments in there. Lots of clubs, says Mark, interested. Even Borussia Dortmund buy young to develop and sell on. It's survival. It is sort of how it works. Tom saying get Huth out of retirement. Craig is saying Maddison will leave. We can't afford to keep them. It's going to be interesting to see. Maddison, it's all gone quiet on. Hopefully, he will stick around. Daka and Iheanacho need to start. Vardy, super sub. Come on, Brendan and Pratt. Start him. What's the obsession with Southampton? Players, now scouts, says Chris. Listen, I suppose Southampton have had a pretty good infrastructure at their place for a long time, developing players, so maybe that will come back to help us. We need to survive this transfer window, says Andrew. Yeah, things would calm down. We've got another 16 days, is it, till the transfer window shuts? It's going to get a bit messy in there. Wayne says he's worried. Mark says Fofana playing games, take the money and move on. I don't think it's Wes. I think Leicester are just holding out for the big transfer. And if Chelsea come in and offer that 80 to 90 million, I think it will be done. Derek says, been able to watch the lives because of stupid Peacock in the US. The way the team is playing, maybe I'll just stick to watching match recaps in there. Patrick says, Rodgers will be toast if we do not win on Saturday. Patrick, I think you sit in the goal behind in the family stand like I do. I think there was some boos after the Brentford game. I hate to say it, and it wasn't me. Definitely wasn't me. I've never booed, but apart from Jermaine Beckford. But I think you're right. I think there'll be trouble if we've not won. I think there'll be bad trouble if we've lost against Southampton. Imran saying we just need to survive, full stop. Derek saying worried about this season. Ken says we're in a business and we're probably the best in the Premier League at making a great profit from selling. Fofana wants to leave them, let him go, 80 million. I agree. I was chatting with Reedy in the office earlier and he was saying, well, if we get 85 million, I'm like, it's the world record for a defender. You can't really argue. If they want to pay 85 million for somebody at that age, and he wants to go, which I think he does, like we've talked about. It's going to be very interesting. Listen, Chris is going to get the last comment. He says, Fofana is world class, but 80 million pounds is crazy money. We will replace, if not now, then at some stage. May just be a tough first half of the season, unfortunately. If it is going to happen, I suggest, guys, we get it done and we get in ourselves in that transfer window. It's been such a great show. So much for all your comments. We got well and truly into the Wes debate. We really didn't touch on Vardy. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about Bongos Bingos. I've got some tickets to give away. It's on this Friday and this Saturday down at the Morningside Arena. I'm going to do it tomorrow because we've got so stuck into transfers tonight. There's so much to talk about. I will do a little video tomorrow and give away some tickets to the Bongos Bingos down at the Morningside Arena. So if you want to buy them, we've got some £10 offers on there. But listen, Bingos Bongos, it might be King Power Bongos on Saturday down at the Southampton game. Let's see what happens. Thanks for all your views, all your comments. Please give us a like, give us a share. All content coming out on YouTube this week. We've got an away fan chat with a Southampton fan, which Tom will be hosting. Reedy and Sam will be doing a match preview. We've got the show, the watch along on Saturday, obviously, with Southampton coming to Leicester. And then we've got the match aftermath show with Jamie on Sunday. It's busy and we will go live the minute anything happens. I've got a feeling something's going to happen this week. See you soon.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie & Co Estate Agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.